Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, I love big plotters. They're fun. Um, Printers. Everyone should be paperless.
Yes.
All right. The next thing, I had what was supposed to be an easy move. Client built a new building, and they were moving only at like 2 minutes drive away. I worked with the architect. I did all the things to get all the cabling done right. I wanted certain things in the server room. I wanted this and that. We talked to the ISP. They said, "Oh yeah, you're going to stay in the same node. You're not going to change your IP address." Great. I mean, it's not hard to change the IP address, but if it's going to stay the same, it's even easier. All I got to do is move everything and plug it in, right?
Right.
Seems easy. So, of course, the client tells me, "I want you to move everything this day at this time." The movers are moving the furniture the day before. We have these, all-in-one Dell touchscreen things.
Okay.
It's just a unit, keyboard and mouse. That's it. And the keyboard and mouse are wireless, so the only thing to plug in is the power cable to the computer and the network cable. Easy. Okay. We show up to move the server. The movers didn't show up the day before.
Hmm.
So that's fine. They're moving their own computers. We'll move the little desk the server's on and the server. We go out there. We plug it in. We go to hook up the internet from the ISP. ISP didn't show up either to move it over. Okay. Well, we told them, or my guys, I wasn't there. My guys told them, call us back when the ISP is done and we'll connect it. Okay. They said, okay. Well, I wanted to go see them because it's a client. I've had a relationship with him for a while. So after lunch, I stopped by just to say hi, look at the new building. Everybody's always impressed with their own new buildings. So they like it when somebody shows up just to say hi and get the tour.
Sure.
So I show up and I'm talking to him. Oh, it looks nice, looks nice. I said, okay, well, I know the guys were waiting for the ISP. I said, just give us a call back whenever. I said, I know the guys are waiting for the call from you when the ISP is done. So whenever that's done, calls. Oh, they came and they came 3 hours ago. Okay, well, you're supposed to call, but okay. While I'm here, I'll hook it up. So plug it in, and of course it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work. So we call the ISP. First tech I get. He says, "Oh, it should work." I said, "I agree,
I
but
agree.
it's not. So can you look into it?" He's, "Oh yeah, I'm seeing you're on this location." I said, "No, that's your location. It was supposed to be transferred to this address today." "Oh, well, we need it. That's on a different node." No, no. He said, "Oh, well, you got to change your IP." I said, "I'm gonna have to change it, or you're gonna have to change it. I mean, I'll program what you tell me, but I can't change it." So he's, "Oh no, we need to give you a new one." I said, "Okay, give me a new one." I was told. I even have an email from the ISP that says it's not going to change, but that's fine. If that's what the problem is, let's change it.
Very frustrating after you were told it would not change.
Right. And we in advance we tried to line this up. So because this ISP never gets it right. That's why I even wanted it in an email. So give me the IP. He said, "Here it is, and if it doesn't work, call us back." I said, "You can't hold for 5 minutes while I put it in." "Oh no, I got to take another call. But just call us back if it doesn't work." "Okay, I'll call you back in a few minutes." I told him. So plug it in, doesn't work.
Oh,
Of course, it doesn't work because I can tell, and I knew it wasn't going to work. The IP they gave me is so close to the one I had before. I could tell it was this on the same node as the other one. So if it's on the same node, why would I have to switch in the first place?
exactly. Because if it's on the same subnet or,
Yeah,
um, yeah,
it was like two numbers off. I said, okay. So before I call them back, I put it on. I put the router to DHCP. I connect fine. So I know it's a problem with the ISP, with the IP they're giving me. Because DHCP, I get an IP and I'm online. Call him back. I get a different tech. I explain to him what happened. He says, "What number did you used to have?" I give him that. He said, what number did they give you a few minutes ago? I gave him that. He said, well, that's not right. That's on the wrong node. He said, you moved nodes. I said, well, I know that because it didn't work. And I explained to him the same thing. Why it's almost the exact same. Why would I be switching? He said, yeah, that's not right. He said, in fact, the IP they gave you is already assigned to another customer. So that
Ouch.
wouldn't have worked even if you were on the right node.
Ouch.
I said, okay, well, give me the right information. So he gives me another set of numbers on a different node because it's a completely different subnet. And I said, okay, it's in. I said, but it's not working. He says, well, it should work. And whenever they say it should work, I say, I agree. I agree.
I think I'm gonna try that at work.
It should work. I agree.
I agree.
I said, here's the deal. I said, we changed this morning. It was on this IP. Then it was on the wrong one he gave me. Then I put it to DHCP. Now it's got the new static. I said, clear the ARP cache in your modem and power the modem. He said, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, well, that's why I work for you. Oh, no, wait, no, I don't. Okay. So he clears it and I can get online. Great. That's working. And all this time I'm at the server doing this. Keep in mind for the next part of the story. I'm at the server, not one error on the server. Okay. I get online. It works fine. Great. I'm on. Did a speed test. I'm getting what I'm supposed to be getting. Great. Okay. Thanks. I'm done with him. Well, by this time, they moved a couple of the computers. I said, can you hook him up for us? Yes, I can plug in the power cable for you if you like. So, plug in the power cable, plug in the network cable, turn it on, and it took forever to get to the login screen. Know what happens when it takes forever to get to the login screen?
DNS.
DNS. Exactly. But nothing changed. This computer was shut down and moved. So, finally get a login screen. I log in. Takes forever to get to the desktop. And when I say forever, I'm talking 10 or 15 minutes. Each phase, right?
Right.
Desktop, 10 or 15 minutes. Login. Once I get the desktop, 10 or 15, after logging in, 10 or 15 minutes. Which in computer time is the eternity.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you and the user are looking at the screen and uncomfortable of silence.
And she says, is this supposed to take this long? Yes. You've been using this computer for 6 months. I said, why don't you tell me this is your computer? Is this normal? No. I said, okay, then no, it's not normal. So the first thing I noticed is the little, the network location tells me no internet access. It goes and it's in a different network location. It's not in the domain location. It's in a work location because you get the pop-up saying which location is this, public or private, whatever, work,
Right.
whatever it says. I said, okay, that's not correct. That's not good. Now, bear in mind, we did not run the cables for this company. The electrician did that, or somebody else came and did that. In fact, he was there, the guy who ran the cabling and who put the switch in. He was there. Now, talk about an oversell. They have 6 computers. They ran like 40 network drops.
Whoa.
Now, I told them to run a lot of those because I wanted at least 2 in each room and a few for wireless access points, but they ran a bunch of extra different other places, which is fine. I don't mind extra network cables because they'll come in handy later on.
Oh,
and it's
sure.
easier to do it in construction than it is after the fact. But then he sold them a 48-port power over Ethernet switch, which I'm sure was expensive.
Yes. Probably at least $3,500, $4,000 range.
Right.
Which,
Now,
at their rate of growth, they will populate that switch in about
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah. Yes, they have enough drops, but I didn't tell them to buy that switch. In fact, I told the company we can move their existing switch because it was a decent switch. I don't know why they sold them that switch. And I don't know why it was power over Ethernet because they have no power over Ethernet devices.
Right. And for those that are questioning what power over Ethernet is, a lot of the white phones, they don't use a power brick. They would just plug in straight into the network and the switch will provide that device power.
Right. And a lot of the IP phone systems even actually have an accessory for power if you want to plug it into the power instead of through power Ethernet. But whatever, I didn't install it. So I'm trying to figure this network location out. Okay, what has changed? The only thing hooked up right now that I know of is the server, which I was just at and is working fine, and this computer. That's it. There's nothing else plugged into the switch.
Now, what was handling CP.
The server.
Okay.
Because when I did release and renew, I was getting an IP from the server.
Okay.
So I go back to the server. And remember, I was at the server for at least a half an hour, 45 minutes dealing with the ISP, not one error message. I go back to the server and what's on the screen? IP conflict. IP conflict? There's nothing else plugged into this switch. So I look in the event logs, I get the MAC address of the conflicting IP. I go online to one of those MAC address lookups, which will tell you the vendor of the MAC address that it's assigned to.
Sure.
Because the first 6 characters of the MAC address will let you know what vendor that's assigned to.
Sure.
So I plug it in, it comes black box. I look at the switch that the guy installed, black box. And the guy is there with his black box shirt on and his 8,000 black box patch cables he sold him. And I said, "What?" I said, "What is this switch you put in?" He said, "I'll switch." I said, "Well, what's the IP on it?" I mean, I know what the IP is already. I want to see what he says. I said, "What's the IP in this thing?" He said, "I don't think it has one." I said, "Is it a managed switch?" "Oh yeah, you can do all kind of stuff with it." I said, "Well, then it's got one. How do you think you manage it?" He says, "Well, I don't know." I said, "Well, how do you?" I said, "How do you manage it?" "Well, I don't know." I said, "So, what do you do?" He said, I just mount it to the wall and plug it in." Great. So anyway, of course, it's the conflicting IP. I changed the IP on that thing. I log into it, change it, everything works fine. But he did not know anything about the equipment he was putting in, which is a little frustrating.
No, and I definitely agree. And again, the difference between managed and unmanaged, like the switches you have at Best Buy, they're a port or whatever case may be. You just plug them in and they work. These higher end, the switches you apply an IP address, and you can actually either web console or go through the putty, and you can actually manage the switch. So that thing was conflicting with your server the whole time.
Yes. Now these managed switches are nice. Like I say, you can
They're nice.
Which ports are even plugged in and live. You can look at traffic through each one. You can do all kind of things with them. But it's overkill for a company that has 5 users.
Yeah.
So, and when I told him his stuff was conflicting, and he walked out. Nice.
And
another funny story with this guy. The girl that I'm dealing with walks up to me while I'm trying to look at the problem on the client machine, and she says, "Can we get a credit for all those patch cables you sold us?" I said, "We didn't sell you any patch cables." I said, "That was all done by those guys." "Oh no, he said it was your cables."
Oh,
I said, "Well, show me what cables. Show me what cables." It's 2 huge bags of patch cables, and they all say black box on them. I said, "Well, these are from Black Box. That's him." And he walks in. Well, I'm saying that's him because I didn't know he was right there.
Look at his Black Box shirt.
Yeah, they all say Black Box. And he says, "What's mine?" I said, "Well, these." I said, "These are Black Box. You sold these to them, right?" He said, "Yeah." And she says, "Well, why did you just tell me that y'all didn't sell that to me?" He says, "I said that?" She says, "Yes, you told him it was him, and you pointed to him that I sold." I said, "Yeah, so now we all agree these did not come from me. These came from you, right?" "Yeah, they came from me." It must have been 40 or 50 patch cables extra that he sold to them.
Wow.
And she says, "Well, can we get a credit on these? Because we don't need this many." And he says, "Well, they were sold with the job," which is not really an answer, right?
It's like almost like you were in a Twilight Zone.
She says, "I know they came with the job." She goes, "But we don't need them. Can we get credited?" He says, "Well, I don't know. It was all part of the job. It was all a bungle job." He wouldn't answer the question. She kept going on. "We don't want these. Take them back." And he says, "Well, I'll have to find out if we can do that." And she looks at me and I said, "I don't want them." I said, "I'm not going to buy them from you. We have thousands of them in our office." She goes, "Well, you ought to take these back." And I thought it was just funny, everything he did that was causing problems. But that should have been a simple move, made more complicated by the ISP screwing up a few times and him not knowing how to set his equipment. So
Now,